going to be vulnerable and authentic and toss myself out there one more time. And I want to tell you about a friend, that I grew up with, and really our shared experience together. I had a friend, her name was Holly. Holly, she was an awesome friend, extremely sweet, salt of the earth, you would say. And this was my sophomore year in college, going to LSU. And by the way, I was welcomed to LSU the first week by a bunch of fraternity Caucasian brothers passing by in a pickup truck calling me the N-word. That's just one of my experiences. But anyway, this is my sophomore year, this particular experience I want to highlight. Sophomore year, my friend Holly, my dear friend Holly, who has a vehicle, because she had a vehicle, I believe, since she was in high school. Another thing that was, very, that really caught my eye, that across the demographic line, you could see this. You can see more of my Caucasian brothers and sisters driving to high school, even in cars, as opposed to a lot of African-American brothers and sisters. But anyway, college, I still didn't have a car. And so I used to catch rides with my parents, my cousins, Haywood, and my friends, Travis and Holly, or sometimes a Greyhound bus. So this particular experience, I'm riding back from LSU on the weekend with my friend Holly, my sweet, sweet friend Holly. She really is an awesome person. Holly is a Caucasian female, blonde hair, blue eyes. Again, amazing, bursting personality. People just automatically, magnetic personality. People love her. And, she really is a sincerely sweet person. So we ride back, me and my friend Holly from Baton Rouge, and she decides she wants to stop at Esplanade Mall in Metairie, which is part of the greater New Orleans area, but it's Metairie or Kenner. So we had Esplanade Mall in Metairie, and we are walking past the fire department. I'm not sure which fire department it was, to be honest with you, so I'm not going to throw out any titles or names. But we were walking past the fire department. They were doing a fundraiser, and there's about 12 of my Caucasian brothers in these fireman outfits, consisting of the unit who were trying to raise funds for the department. As I'm walking past, me and my friend Holly, I noticed that they stopped doing what they were doing. They were casually engaging in various conversations amongst each other. They stopped doing what they were doing, and they began to look at me and Holly walking together. Immediately it caught my eye because I was accustomed to this, this just being seen with a white female would evoke the rage of some of our Caucasian brothers. And so me and Holly, we're walking through the mall, and we're passing the fire department, and I noticed that they're staring at us. And so I say, Holly, I don't think you should be walking as close as you are to me, because we've caught the attention of the fire department that's raising funds. She said, what do you mean we caught the attention? I said, Holly, they don't want to see a black man walking beside a white woman, and then you're blind and you got blue eyes. They thinking you of as the pinnacle of what it is to be a woman, and me as some filthy whatever, They don't want to see us walking side by side. They don't know that we're not dating. They just don't want to see us together. Holly said, whatever. And then she looked and she saw the rage in their eyes. She saw the racial slurs that they were tossing at me with their gaze. And she said, oh my God, they really are staring at us. And she grabbed my arm and put her head on my shoulder, which sent a chill through my spine. And so I said, Holly, you're playing around, but you can't do this. I know this is games to you. This is new to you, but this is life for me. You can't play like that, because they're not going to hurt you. They'll hurt me. But anyway, we make it out the mall, and again, everybody stopped. All the firemen stopped and just looked at us, just disgusted, repulsed. I could smell and feel the racism exuding just permeating their pores. So we make it out of there. We continue down to my hometown. I'm riding with Holly, and we're talking about that. It was like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Holly is driving because I'm catching a ride. Holly sees a police unit, but it's a truck police unit. These trucks don't typically stop people. At least back then, they didn't really stop people. And so Holly looked at the truck and she said, "You think they'll stop us if I pass them up?" Because she was already speeding. So she's talking about going even faster. I said, "Holly, do not pass them up. They will see me sitting in the passenger seat. We will be stopped. White men do not like to see black men like me around white ladies, white women like you." "Oh, Harry, you're crazy. That doesn't exist. That's back in the 60s. They don't do that." She goes right past the truck because she doesn't have to worry about the rage of a bigot. She doesn't have to worry about that, but I do. So she passes the truck. My friend Holly, my sweet, sweet, sweet friend Holly, she passes the truck, and of course, they put on their lights and they stop us. They stop us. Now, Holly already knew that she didn't have a license, which I already knew as well. But, you know, this is my friend Holly. Her people are well known. Her family is well known, you know, and she doesn't have any run-ins with the law, you know, that period. She doesn't. The law is there to protect her, to serve her, to protect and serve her. That's what the law was there for. And so she zooms right past the police truck and we get pulled over. We get pulled over and the officer asks Holly to get out of the vehicle. Holly goes to the back of the vehicle. My dear friend Holly, my Caucasian sister who I love dearly, she goes to the back of the vehicle and proceeds to talk to two police officers for roughly, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe, you know, 20, 30 minutes. I don't know how long it was, you know, but I think it's about 20, 30 minutes it lasted. In between time, they walked, one of the deputies walked over to the passenger side where I was and asked me for my license. I told them I didn't have it, which was a lie. I did have my license, but I wanted them to do whatever they wanted to do. I didn't want them to treat me any differently than they would any other black man, because that's all they saw was a black man. So they went back, talked to Holly a little bit longer, and then finally released her and allowed her to go back into her vehicle. And by the way, when she stepped out of the vehicle, the first action that she did was say, she didn't even wait to be really wait to be like escorted out of the vehicle or, you know, like calmly get out of the vehicle. She jumped out of the vehicle and said, "Hey, my name is Holly, such and such, and I am, you know, the Orange Queen," or whatever, you know. So she listed the title that way that they knew who her people were immediately. So they talked to her for about 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, and they release us. We get back in the car and Holly is just flabbergasted. She is stunned. She is shocked. She said, "Harry, all they wanted to know was about you. All they cared about was, why was I riding with you? Why were you riding with me? They asked me if I was in any danger." My friend, Holly, who I grew up with, who I hitched a ride with from LSU to my hometown, you know, college student, never been in trouble before. The officers wanted to make sure that my wonderful friend Holly was not in danger because she was riding with a black man. And they questioned her for 30 minutes, not about the fact that she didn't have a license, not about the fact that she passed him up, that she was speeding. They didn't care about any of that. Because for her, the law is there to protect and to serve. And their idea of protecting and serve is protecting and serve anybody that looks like Holly. Not me. I'm the threat. I'm the danger.
My grandfather's grandfather was born a slave. Okay. So his father actually, within the first 10 years, the Emancipation Proclamation, I'm talking about 90 years between my great-great-grandfather and me. 90 years. That's how close we were to slavery. And so I grew up in the Jim Crow South. Most of my teen years, hey there, Mr. Turner, how are you, sir? I grew up in the Jim Crow South. And so I saw things that you guys, if you think it's deplorable now, you should have seen some of the things that I saw coming up. White only drinking water fountains on the middle of Canal Street, restrooms that said white only, and you couldn't sit at the counter in the bus station. You had to sit at the back. And if you ordered something, the waitress had to come to you, and because you were not allowed at the counter. If you went to a place to get something, ordered something, some food or whatever, just like McDonald's invited us today, that was a way of life for Black people. We had to go to the window. I remember this right in our neighborhood, about 2 city blocks down the road, there was a bar and restaurant. And I was working as a kid, 11 years old, working at this little paint body shop, cleaning up, sweeping around there, $5 a week now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so my boss sent me to this little restaurant to get some root beer, canned root beer, Rex root beer, and some moon pies for our snack. And so I go down there. He sent me down there, and I couldn't go upstairs, so I knocked on the door. And this big country-looking guy comes out there, pushing what his persuasion was, and he spits the water tobacco over my head, and he says the N-word to me. What do you want? And even then, there was a little bit of resistance in me. I guess that was my greatest grandpa, Nat Turner, saying, "You don't want nothing." And so I responded, "I don't want nothing," and I left. So when I get back to the place where I was sweeping at, the boss comes. He says, "Theodore, where are our drinks? Where's our moon pies?" I said, "That guy was the N-word, and I didn't get nothing." So he said, "What?" Boy, he comes over there. He gets over there to the restaurant. We come back. His shirt pocket is missing. His buttons broke off his shirt. And his wife comes out there and said, "What happened to you?" And he said, "Nobody calls my N-word the N-word." He was defending my honor, but that's how he thought. I was his N-word, but he wasn't going to let nobody else say that. So that was the mentality, that was the thinking and so forth. So that's the kind of where we're going. I saw white boys, 16 years old, that my grandfather had to say yes, sir, to, and they call him by his name. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about rage. Before we put this tiger back in the tank, whenever somebody amps up a little bit because of their experiences, I want to ante up and say, well, let me show you some rage. And there's some things that we saw and experienced during that era. And now they're more clandestine, you see, because we've gotten smarter at how to do it, how to be racist, but it's still obvious.
To walk in the shoes, there are people who, so for instance, I did my 4 years as a mental health therapist, serving in a correctional facility, right? And so they don't know what it's like to be a Black man counseling tortured Black souls in these little boxes day after day after day after day. And of course, because I'm Black, I got the roughest ones, because I can handle it. I'm tough. Besides, they're my people, right? Day after day, day after day, day after day, listening to the rackets, to the sexual assaults, to interview people who were sexually assaulted, to hear the threats to be raped, tossed out to female officers, to see for a fire to go off in this cell, for this one over here to be throwing weapons out of his cell, and then me standing in front of this person who's saying I want to end my life, and me having to block all of that out in order to deal with this one being right there. And all of them on a tier, except for maybe one or two, are Black. That's not supposed to mess with my mind. That's not supposed to tear me up. I see and I understand the system. I understand that racism comes through institutions. It is racial prejudice combined with institutional power. Without the institutional power, a person is just prejudiced. But when you got institutional power, now you can be racist. And I know that these men, countless scores Black men, are no more than victims of that institutional power that these bigots still hold on to. Angola plantation was the most prosperous plantation in all of the country, right here in Louisiana. Yeah, we set another record, right. Go figure. And guess what? After the abolishment, after the Emancipation Proclamation, and they abolished slavery, they changed Angola plantation to Angola prison. And guess what? It is still the most prosperous plantation in all of America, filled with the same population, all Black men. When they talk about crime in the urban communities, particularly impacting Black and brown folk, you see, we always like to talk about the ending of life and the murders, but I see a lot of crimes being committed. Ain't nobody getting no sentences for that, but I see some crimes being committed in the bourgeoisie Black community. We never talk about that. You know, attitude reflects leadership, and some of my more middle and upper class brothers and sisters don't need human hands. They need crab claws. And anywhere they go, anytime they enter a building, they need to be walking sideways because they some crabs. They're the crabbiest of the crabbiest. And so they get in these positions, using us, boost us up, talking about, yeah, we got to go do this and we got to go do that. And then they get in those positions and they surrender, they acquiesce for white privilege and acceptance, leaving us in the exact same conditions we were before. That's why I maintain the posture that I have, because I can't be bought. I know they thought that I was Toby because my name is Harry and I graduated from LSU, but this here is Kunta. This here is Kunta. Kunta got the bachelor's degree. Kunta got the master's degree. This here Kunta. Okay, let me.
I get that. I get all of that. And I thank God for there's a governor in my life that has taken me from my Kuntarism and my desire to amalgamate that culture that think is supreme because of some advantage that I may have. I thank God for that spirit that He's given me. And believe you me, like I said, this is not somebody that I chose to be. It's somebody I became. My affiliate with Christ. Don't let the smooth taste don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. There is a rage, but it's a rage that is in check because of the in my life, the restrainer, the Holy Spirit, the restrainer. And so He helps us and He leads us, He guides us, and He directs us. But we still can put up a good fight against injustices that are going on against us. And those people that have this racial tendency in them, they need a transformation. They're taught, racism is taught. It's not inherited, it's taught. Mm-hmm. Now, it may be a heritage, but because it's in those generations, but it is something that is taught. And if that person ever has an encounter with the Jesus that Paul met on Damascus Road, they will learn how to love everybody, and that will change. And I've talked to people who couldn't stand Black people, who is trying to make up for it. They know how. And I say, just be who God made you. You see, I don't think I've ever, even with all those things, in my heart, I recognize them, but I don't think I've ever hated white people to the degree to where I wanted to see all of them destroyed and eliminated from the earth. There's some that I've really had a rage toward what I've seen them do, but never was that something that I made condition.